In a noisy world full of distractions, chaos, and emotional manipulation, protecting your energy is not optional, it's survival. The strongest people aren't the loudest, and they're not everywhere. They're intentional, calm, and guarded, not because they're scared, but because they've understood this energy is currency. And if you spend it on the wrong people, the wrong emotions, or the wrong habits, you'll always be empty. This video dives into 7 powerful habits of people who fiercely protect their energy. These habits don't just build mental strength, they build a life of peace, clarity, and silent power. 1. They say no without explaining themselves. Saying no is one of the hardest yet most powerful skills you can develop. It's not just a word, it's a complete sentence. For people who protect their energy, no is a boundary, a decision, and a shield. These people understand that their time, energy, and mental bandwidth are limited resources. They don't allow guilt to manipulate their schedule. Most people feel pressured to say yes to everything, to help everyone, attend every event, and be available all the time. But those who are truly intentional know this. Every time you say yes to something you don't truly care about, you say no to something that actually matters. They don't wrap their refusal in apologies. They don't offer lengthy justifications. Why? Because they understand that their peace is more important than someone else's temporary approval. When someone says, "Why can't you come?" their response isn't a 10-minute excuse, it's simply, "I can't." And that's enough. They don't seek validation through over-explanation. They've learned that the people who truly respect you don't need an explanation, and the ones who demand one are often the people who want to cross your boundary. They also know how powerful it is to honor their own no. Every time you say yes out of guilt, fear, or pressure, you abandon yourself. Over time, this builds resentment, mental fatigue, and emotional burnout. Those who protect their energy are loyal to themselves first. They understand that the world doesn't fall apart when they say no. In fact, their inner world becomes more peaceful. The truth is, when you learn to say no without guilt, you unlock a new level of freedom. You stop being a slave to other people's demands and become the master of your own time. They say no not because they don't care, but because they care about the right things. That's real power. 2. They don't enter every argument. There is a common trap that drains people of their energy every single day: getting into unnecessary arguments. Whether it's defending your opinion, responding to criticism, or trying to prove someone wrong, arguments are emotional traps. People who protect their energy don't fall for it. They've realized that not every opinion deserves a response, not every insult deserves attention, and not every challenge needs to be answered. They've accepted this universal truth: some people don't want to understand, they just want to argue. And when you engage with them, you don't solve anything, you just drain yourself. These energy protectors aren't afraid of confrontation, they're just masters of discernment. They know that arguing with someone who's emotionally immature, irrational, or stuck in ego is like trying to clean mud with more mud. They value peace more than being right. Let's face it, most arguments aren't about truth, they're about ego. One person wants to feel superior, the other wants to defend their identity. And in the middle of it all, energy gets wasted, relationships get damaged, and your mental peace suffers. Energy protectors ask themselves one powerful question before responding: is this worth my energy? If it's not, they walk away. They also practice emotional detachment. Someone can insult them, and they won't flinch, not because they don't care, but because they've mastered emotional choice. They don't let external chaos dictate their internal state. And when they do choose to speak, it's intentional, brief, and controlled. They never raise their voice to make a point. They lower it to raise their power. Real strength isn't about clapping back or winning debates. It's about choosing your peace over your pride. 3. They limit access to themselves. Your energy is precious. Not everyone deserves access to it. That's the mantra of those who protect their peace. These people understand that being constantly available is a fast track to exhaustion. Instead, they practice what's called intentional availability, being there for the right people at the right time for the right reasons. They aren't cold or antisocial, they're selective. They don't give everyone the privilege of their time, presence, or attention. Because they've learned too much access creates emotional debt. People start to expect your time. They start to demand your energy. And before you know it, you're living someone else's life. Energy protectors keep their circles small. Their phones don't buzz all day with unnecessary notifications. Their calendars aren't full of things they resent. And they aren't addicted to being liked. They're committed to being aligned. They also recognize energy leaks. You know, those people who always want to call, gossip, complain, or dump their emotional baggage. Energy protectors set boundaries with them. Gently but firmly. They don't over-explain their distance. They simply create space. Because space brings clarity, and clarity is power. Limiting access isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. 4. They prioritize solitude and reflection. In today's world, solitude is mistaken for sadness, and silence for weakness. But people who protect their energy know the truth. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's alignment. These people seek out solitude, not because they hate the world but because they want to understand themselves. When they're alone, they aren't scrolling through distractions or killing time. They're reconnecting with their thoughts, filtering their emotions, and realigning their focus. The world teaches you to stay busy, to always be on. But solitude breaks that cycle. It gives your nervous system a break. It allows your mind to slow down and your spirit to breathe. Most people run from being alone because they don't want to confront their internal noise. They fear what they'll hear in the silence. But those who protect their energy don't fear it. They welcome it. In solitude, they process emotions that were buried. They reflect on mistakes without shame. They recalibrate their goals and reconnect with what truly matters. This habit gives them an edge because while others drown in confusion, they operate from clarity. Solitude also reveals truth. When you're constantly surrounded by people, it's easy to absorb their opinions, desires, and drama. But when you step away, you can hear your own voice. That inner compass gets louder when the external noise fades, and then comes reflection, the second half of solitude. These people don't just sit in silence. They think, they journal, they meditate, they ask tough questions like, what am I doing out of fear? Who is draining me right now? Is my life aligned with my values? They treat solitude like a reset button, not once a year during burnout, but daily. It's not an escape, it's a return to center. When everyone is chasing validation, dopamine and distraction, these people retreat inward. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Their power comes not from constant motion, but from strategic stillness. 5. They don't overshare their lives. People who protect their energy live by one simple principle: not everything needs to be said, and definitely not everything needs to be shared. In a time where oversharing is normal, where people post their every meal, emotion, vacation, and opinion, choosing privacy is revolutionary. These individuals don't broadcast every move. They don't vent online. They don't tell 10 people their next goal. Why? Because they understand the energetic cost of oversharing. Every time you reveal something personal, you invite energy in, both supportive and destructive, and not all energy is neutral. Some people will celebrate your success, others will silently envy it. Some will listen to your struggles, others will use them against you. The more you share, the more you expose your spirit to unseen influences. Energy protectors value what's sacred. If a goal is fresh, they guard it. If a relationship is real, they protect it. If they're healing, they don't announce it, they live it. They've learned that when you keep something to yourself, it grows in peace. But when you expose it too early, you risk interference, opinions, doubts, projections, comparisons. And here's the truth: most people don't truly care. They're just curious. Curious to know if you're doing better or worse than them. Curious to gossip. Curious to feel relevant in your life. That's why these people keep their emotional world behind locked doors. They're not secretive, they're selective. They share when it's necessary. They reveal what's been processed, not what's still raw. They live quietly. They don't post to prove. They don't perform. They don't need the spotlight. Because they know, growth is louder in silence. Healing is deeper in privacy. Power is built when no one is watching. In a world addicted to exposure, they choose mystery, and that mystery becomes their strength. 6. They master emotional discipline. Emotions are powerful, but without discipline, they can destroy you. Energy protectors aren't emotionless. They feel deeply, but they choose how to express it. They don't scream in anger, beg in pain, or react in panic. They respond with control. This is emotional discipline, the ability to feel everything, but act with wisdom. These people don't explode when triggered. They don't let praise inflate their ego or criticism shrink their worth. They've built an emotional muscle, the pause. That pause is where power lives. It's that one moment between trigger and reaction, where most people lose control, but they choose calm. They've trained themselves to breathe before responding, detach before reacting, reflect before deciding. It's not that they don't get angry, they just don't let anger run the show. It's not that they don't get sad, they just don't collapse into hopelessness. They understand this. Your emotional state creates your energy state. If your emotions are out of control, so is your energy. They also know the danger of emotional contagion. Spend enough time with anxious people, you become anxious. Stay around angry people, you become short-tempered. That's why they guard their mood like it's sacred. They choose environments that match their emotional discipline. And when they can't avoid chaos, they anchor themselves from within. Their self-talk is calm. Their mindset is solution-focused. Their reactions are thoughtful. And here's the deeper wisdom. Emotional discipline isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about honoring them without becoming them. They feel pain without becoming bitter. They feel joy without becoming arrogant. They feel fear without becoming paralyzed. That's rare. That's power. And it's the reason their energy is unshakable, even in the middle of storms. 7. They let go without closure. One of the biggest energy traps is the need for closure. Most people spend years stuck in mental loops trying to understand why someone betrayed them, why something failed, why life didn't go the way they expected. But energy protectors, they don't chase closure. They choose peace. They've realized that not everyone will give you a clear ending. Some people disappear. Some lie. Some apologize half-heartedly. Others don't acknowledge the damage they caused at all. And if you wait for them to make it right, you'll stay stuck. These individuals practice emotional detachment. They don't wait for apologies. They don't beg for explanations. They don't obsess over why. They simply observe what happened and move forward. They understand this. Closure isn't something someone gives you, it's something you give yourself. They write their own endings, not in anger, but in acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve. It means you stop bleeding energy into something you can't change. They've mastered the art of letting go of people who don't respect them, letting go of jobs that drain them, letting go of dreams that expired, not with bitterness but with grace. They remind themselves, I don't need closure, I need clarity. And sometimes the clearest truth is silence. When they walk away, they don't look back, and that's why their energy is light, because they're not carrying yesterday into tomorrow. If you want real peace, don't chase it in people, build it inside yourself. Protect your energy, like your life depends on it, because it does. Let your boundaries be firm, your presence selective, and your silence intentional. Subscribe to Echo of Legends for more quiet truths that build loud lives. Speak less, think deep, live wisely.